Welcome to Rev Sports. I'm Gargi Raut. And joining me today is Ishan Shahane, Bharat Ramraj, Trisha Ghoshal, and Snehashish Mukherjee. Snehashish is already in Dubai to cover the Women's World Cup, and he has already watched the India versus West Indies warm up game. So he
No, no,
has
no,
got
no, no,
India,
no.
South Africa.
India South Africa warm up game. So he has all sort of insights to give us, and he's seen the practice, a few practices as well. But today we're going to be talking about how all the teams are shaping up ahead of the World Cup. Over to you first, Nehashish. Tell us about how Dubai is, and tell us about what you saw in the game last night.
Um, Actually, I will say that it was a very clinical victory for Team India at the end because if you ask me, because the pitch was tricky. I know that live telecast is not available for so many fans, especially for the warm-up matches. But as I saw yesterday from the ground, it was tricky pitch to bat on because the balls were gripping, spinners were on a roll from both the teams. Because if you see all the 6 wickets taken by India were taken by only spinners. Pacers were struggling, but Pacers understood the pitch and then used their cutters, to maximize their efforts. So overall, I think it's a clinical victory, but there are some areas that need to be improved, like especially the ground fielding and the catching. We also shared updates that several catches were dropped, like Shefali Verma dropped one at the end, Jemima Rodriguez dropped one, and the ground fielding was a bit sloppy. But overall, as a bowling unit, I think Pacers need to improve because you need your Pacers to get early wickets. To get early wickets in the power play overs, I think that will give a lot of pressure to the opponent. And from batting perspective, I think the middle order batters have been pretty good. For the middle order batter have been pretty good. You can see Jemima Rodriguez in both the warm-up matches. She was excellent, even yesterday. And Richa Ghosh, the only two sixes were hit in the innings were hit by sorry, Richa Ghosh. So
Thanks.
sorry, Richa Ghosh.
Trisha can also do it, by the way.
Yes, obviously.
Yeah,
Trishadi can do
exactly.
everything. Trishadi can do everything. But the opening batters, I think, is an area that you need to improve. I think Shefali Verma would be very disappointed with 2 outings. And at number 3, we know how important position that is. Harmanpreet Kaur at that position had a big chance yesterday, but again she failed. But I think from captaincy perspective, she did well yesterday. She did well the way she rotated her bowlers. I think she did well. So overall, it's a good day. But ahead of the first match, these 3 areas I think India will like to improve.
Trisha, over to you now. We'll mostly be talking about the Indian team because we're Indians. But we all want the team to win. So we'll be, and our
Yeah,
audience is mostly Indian. So we're going to be focusing on the Indian team, aren't we?
yeah.
Uh, but Trisha, if I were to ask you, do you think the Indian team is looking super strong for the World Cup? It's looking as one of the dominant sides in the, already the head's shaking now.
No, not at all. Absolutely not. I think, unfortunately, in the batting lineup, it's almost like we are over dependent on Richa, and it's almost like what we are over dependent on Richa and Jemima. If Jemima by chance doesn't perform because she's coming at number 4, um, and also I find it very weird that every series, our batting lineup changes. Yes, the openers are common with Shafali and Smriti, but other than that, Harman all of a sudden is coming at number 3. Now Jemima, I think for last 2 series she was coming out to bat at 5. Before that at 3. Now at 4. You know what? In these two warm-up games, Jemima actually played the role of a number 3 because we lost 2 early wickets. That's why somewhere she got a lot of time to settle in and play her innings, like build her innings, and then go on to score towards the end. But if I don't know, I mean, I still think if Jemima is the batter that we are banking on, I am very confused that why is she not at number 3? Because I am 200% sure that Jemima is not a finisher. That's the work of Richa and Deepti. Deepti in 100 has shown that she has improved a lot.
Yeah.
But again, good teams don't depend on 4 batters. I mean, take Australia for example. Australia, yesterday Snehashish was telling me that Australia is. I'll tell you exactly. Australia was some. Yeah, Australia was 59 for 5. If India is 59 for 5, we know we are getting bundled out for 100 off. You know, but Australia was 59 for 5, and they also reached 144 for 8. So that is what, they are not dependent on any particular batter. That is where they make that world class team. So yeah, I do think that Indian spin attack is maybe, so I mean, the conditions suit us, but batting, yeah, batting is a concern, and fielding will always be a concern for the Asian sides. That's unfortunately the truth. Also, if due factor sets in, that hampers fielding a lot more. But there's something interesting. There's a pattern that I noticed, that all the warm up matches which were played in the seventh stadium, Dubai, apart from the Australia West Indies match yesterday, all the matches were won by the team chasing. And in the ICC ground, in both the ICC grounds, all the matches were won by the team batting first. And see, for
Fascinating.
example,
That's
England,
interesting.
yeah, because for example, England chased down they chased down New Zealand's total in the seventh stadium, but the same England team was 129 all out when they were facing Australia in the ICC ground. If there is no dew, then at least from this pattern, what it seems is, in the second innings, the pitch slows down further if there is no dew. So I don't know how much dew will set in, but if that is the case, then I think it becomes very important that, I mean, the toss factor becomes very, very important.
It does, it does. Ishan, Bharat, over to you too as well. Same question actually, because this is something that is concerning, I think, a lot of us. And I'm not comparing, but I think at this point, if we were to look at the warm-up games, as Indian cricket fans or as the Indian women's team fans, we would have wanted dominating wins. Like that's how you know that a team is ready for a tournament ahead of. We're seeing Harmanpreet Kaur not performing. She's the skipper at this point. She's the only. Even if she was the only one performing, we would have been okay, because as long as the skipper is inspiring the team, as long as the skipper is putting in the performances, you feel like yes, there's some intent in this team. But watching Smiti perform, the others chip in from here and there, and but Harmanpreet not stepping up, it seems a little bit concerning for me. Ishan, Bharat, what are your thoughts?
Yes, Harmanpreet Kaur, even if you look at her World Cup records, it's not exactly great in T20 World Cups. She has averaged about 20 in T20 World Cups, barring that one tournament in the West Indies, I guess, when she averaged 45.75. She hasn't really performed in T20 World Cups, and it is continued in that fashion. One of the things I've noticed with this Indian middle order or the Indian lineup is, for example, Jamima Rodriguez was batting at number 5 at some point of time. Her average was 46.5. Okay, she may not be the greatest of batters at number 5, especially at least if you look at it from an outside quoting. But she was averaging 46.5 there at that position, and now she's batting here at number 4. She's also batted at number 3, where she's averaged 30.44. Just keep going, keep rotating the batters here or there. That is not the greatest of signs. Harmanpreet Kaur now is batting at number 3. She has not done well in the warm-up matches. That's, I think, a problem for the Indian team. But one of the positives was, I think, Asha Sobana took a couple of wickets. I've been telling like a broken tape recorder over the last 3 4 months that keep picking Asha Sobana in the Indian lineup. I know our fielding is not the best, but I still believe that she can be a trump card if she's used well in the T20 World Cup. Her style of spin bowling is very much suited to the conditions here, unless dew comes into play. Yeah, in the past, whenever I've come over to Dubai, it feels like the dew comes into play somewhere in October, and that has affected the spinners. But otherwise, she can really come into play. I think she's one of the positives. Renuka didn't take a wicket in the first over for some reason yesterday. But I think she's a very good bowler up front. Good wrist position, swings it back. Occasionally, it comes out scrambled, but even that adds us in variation. So, India's bowling attack is pretty good, especially when you consider that Shayanka Patil has been imparting some good revs on the ball in the WPL. But the batting lineup is a bit concerning, as it has already been noted. That if, for example, India are 59 for 5 or 60 for 5, as it has been noted, then I don't think India will bounce back and make a comeback and go on to win the game.
Yes, Gagi,
I
just to
just
add,
wanted to,
yeah,
sorry,
sure, sure. No, no, it's fine. Good.
Ishan, yeah, today for a change, I'm interrupting Ishan, but but I think Bharat is absolutely correct. Asha could actually be the X factor because the T20 World Cup where we did really well was the 2018 World Cup, and if you remember, it was Poonam Yadav, another leggy, who actually made that difference. The slow leg spinners made the difference. I think uh, Asha could be the key player. But then again, I don't know if Shriyanka is playing, Deepti is playing. Where does Asha feature in that lineup? That
Yeah.
is one more question.
Gagi, just to add from what Bharat has said and even about Harmanpreet, obviously, not having her not in her best form will definitely hamper the team because, like you said as well, the captain has to lead the charge. And if your captain is not doing that, that whole team morale is automatically brought down. So there has to be a way where somehow she manages to get some form before this tournament because you need everyone contributing. So this is a collective effort. If India wants to go on and do well, it has to be a collective effort of everyone out here. And the biggest concern, in my opinion, is like how Sneashish mentioned about the fielding. That's the biggest concern. Harmanpreet in the press conference as well went on to mention that there was a specific fielding camp that was held. Now there was a specific camp that were held, skills camp that were held, fielding camps that were held. Then all these issues should not be happening. Like, all right, maybe one catch can be dropped, but Sneashish clearly mentioned that there were a couple dropped, and they seem pretty, mishapped on that field. So that should not be happening before a World Cup. Fielding has always been the biggest concern on this side. At times they batted well, they bowled well, they've gone on to win games, almost go on to win games, but the fielding has cost them. So for me, the biggest question mark is the fielding, and I wonder what they're going to do because if they kept those skill camps and the fielding camps, how is it not working up till now?
Yeah, you talk about X factors. When you talk about X factors in the Indian team, I think personally, I think Richa Ghosh also could be one, because when I look at this batting lineup, it doesn't it you know bring me a lot of confidence. But when I see Richa Ghosh's name, I feel like she's the one person in that batting lineup who could change the game around. We've got Smriti, of course, doing well. We've got Jemima. We've seen her, bailing India out from difficult situations before as well. But Richa, the way that she bats is very different from the way that a Smriti or a Jemima bat, because she's very aggressive, and she's someone who can bring on a lot of pressure on the bowlers, because she'll aggressively hit 3 4 6s and then change the game completely. So I think that ability from Richa Ghosh is something that I'm looking forward to, and I hope she does that more and more with each game, because it really counts. When you're putting pressure on the bowler, and runs are leaking from one end, it really changes the momentum of the game. But Snehashish, if I were to talk about other teams as well, who at this point is looking the strongest to you?
Strongest,
Is
obviously,
Australia second
Australia and
strongest?
England.
No,
Podium finish.
don't ask this to Snehashish because he has already given podium finish to Australia. In the SWOT analysis only, he has said podium finish Australia. But I
Uh,
found it a little funny that people are writing that this Australian team, because Australia was 59 for 5 yesterday. I was seeing a lot of tweets. In fact, Tammy Beaumont, if I'm not wrong, has actually said that this is one of the weaker Australian sides. I mean, if this is a weak side, then I'm sure I am not too sure what is the meaning of
You want a weak side like that.
but but yesterday another practice match, warm up match was going on there between England and New Zealand. The way England batted, it's a strong side, especially from the batting perspective. I was texting to Shadi, the way Heather Knight was batting, absolutely brilliant, and the approach that she brought change in herself. It is absolutely exciting to see. The way she bats now, aggressive approach, always looking for big shots, not thinking about score, not thinking about the wicket that much, just going for the runs at every ball. I think that's the fearless approach you need in this format. I think that is clearly bringing and helping England going forward into this World Cup.
Yeah, well, just add a point to it about England. I think that with John Lewis taking over as England coach, there has been a real change in their attitude. Whatever I've seen over the last 1 year or something on those lines. When with him taking over, I think England have played with more of a fearless approach. But it's interesting to see how they will again go up against Australia. I somehow have a feeling that Australia have a psychological edge over them. They could have won that Ashes, but somehow they didn't. So I still feel that Australia have a slight psychological edge over them. But again, McLennan is not captaining Australia anymore, so I feel somewhere it will hit Australia because I'm not too sure her predecessor Haley is that great a captain because I always thought that McLennan as a captain was at some other level when it came to tactics and also the presence she had on the field.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ishan? Sorry, I forgot to ask Trisha. Trisha, your top team apart from Australia. Let's just get this. Let's just.
See, I'll be very honest.
Yeah.
I'm actually looking at. I mean, Australia, England, all that is fine. But the two teams that I'm really, really looking out for is Scotland and Sri Lanka. The way South Africa has played the warm-up matches has actually made Group B way more interesting. I mean, because if you in general see Group B with West Indies, Bangladesh, Scotland, South Africa, and England, it's almost like it's no brainer that England and South Africa will be qualifying. But because South Africa has shown, I don't know, they have shown that there's a lot of weakness in that batting lineup, and their over dependence on Marizanne Cap was clearly exposed because both the warm up games, Marizanne Cap was missing. I don't know what is going on with her. Um, we had confirmed from our sources in the South African side that she's not injured, so she is fine. But probably they're not taking a risk with her, you know because she has come from this injury. They don't want to waste her in the warm up games. I mean, waste her is a wrong choice of words, but it means
You
that
don't
they
want
don't
to risk
want.
it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Uh, but that actually has exposed how much South Africa depends on Marizanne Cap.
Yeah.
Wickets haven't been easy to take, runs haven't been easy to score. It's a very, very difficult situation, and South African batters have shown that they're weak against spinners. And every team will unleash spinners, especially Asian
Yeah.
teams. So yeah, South Africa now looks a little weaker again during the tournament. Cap will be back. I'm repeating. Um, but Scotland looks a fantastic team. And the day we were doing Scotland SWOT analysis, we were discussing that ideally Scotland should not come with the approach that, okay, this is our first senior World Cup, a senior tournament, senior World Cup tournament, so we should love the exposure, we should enjoy the exposure. I was like, if you're doing well, just carry the momentum on, because we have seen with Bangladesh, they are still enjoying the exposure. They haven't taken the cricket forward. But with Scotland, the approach seems very different. Yes, they won one match and lost the other match against Sri Lanka. I understand. But at the end of the day, they went and defeated Pakistan. Pakistan has played way
Yeah.
more cricket than Scotland. And the way they chased, I was watching the highlights of the match. I was superbly impressed. Obviously, Bryce sisters, but also there are 5 6 good players that you can actually name that will be doing well. So yes, I'm looking out for Scotland and Sri Lanka. Of course, the kind of momentum that Sri Lanka is in, this is the best time if you're a Sri Lanka cricket fan. Even men's and women's team both, actually. The way men's team is playing the test matches, they are at number 3 in the in the WTC championship, I'm saying, in the World Test Championship, and here also yes, they won both their warm up matches. I think the second match, they lost a lot of wickets against Scotland. But having said that, I think one concern will be Chamari Atapattu hasn't scored, um, which I think will be a concern for the other teams, not Sri Lanka. Which means that getting into the tournament, she'll be very, very angry, and that doesn't go well. So I think the two teams that I'm really looking forward to is Scotland, Sri Lanka. I don't mind if Scotland upsets a few, and it's just fun.
Wow.
Gargi has left. Gargi is like, I'm going to Scotland right away.
Trishati,
What
but
about
what about the top performers in your opinion? I think I'll ask everyone that question. If you had to pick the top three from all the teams, who do you think are the most likely to go on and perform?
very, very interesting.
Top three is difficult actually. Top five, maybe.
Top five. Okay, top five. I think would be Heather Knight, Australia. No, who's there? I mean, who's there? As in Australia has so many options that I'm
Yeah.
almost like
Neshish,
who
Bharat, any
to.
idea? Who do you think the
Ask
top
top
five will be?
11.
Top five. Bharat, go first. Bharat, you go first.
Australia, I know, I know. Australia, I know. Okay, so here's my top five performers. I think I have decided. Sorry, Bharat.
Yeah.
Heather Knight, Alana King, um, Chamari Atapatu, of course, Jemima. I
Okay.
mean, Richa. My only thing is, I don't know how much will Richa be effective when the pitch slows down, because
Hmm.
the
Yeah.
Yeah.
style of play that Richa has to carry. It's a difficult way to hit from ball one. So I'm not 100% sure. And so I named four, right? The fifth one will be from Australia. Someone from Australia. I hope it's Phoebe Litchfield because I love her. Like I absolutely love seeing her bat. I mean, I don't love her. I mean, I love seeing her bat.
Love her as a player. We
Yeah,
had this we had this thing in the
yeah, yeah.
last
Sneha
live as well.
said, yeah, yeah. Sneha, she said we love Shamima Rodriguez, but yeah, what we basically mean is we enjoy batting them perform on the field.
Yeah. We have an interesting comment here from Abhishek Tripathi who's saying, you only mentioned that Indian batting did not do well, but you don't mention that India have won both matches. Ultimately, winning matches matters, not individual player performance. What do you guys say to this?
Yeah, Mr. Tripathi, I think we have mentioned that India won both the matches right at the beginning of the show. But yes, winning matters, but how you won is also very important. And we are talking about individual player performances because you have to understand if a batting depends on two or three players, there will be days when these two or three players cannot just stand up, and then what happens? Because if that's the knockout game, then remember we are reaching semifinals quite easily. It's
Yeah.
not like we are getting knocked out in the group matches. So the batting that we are mentioning, the individual player performances that we are questioning or criticizing, is absolutely on the basis of the fact that even if we win group matches, what happens in the knockout matches? Because these are the knockout matches when pressure increases, when the value suddenly goes two notches up of the match, and then those two, three batters might not perform. And then what? Another semi-final exit. So that is the reason we are seeing the bigger picture here.
Yes.
Okay, yes. We have another comment which we can take. Nitish Gaming is saying, I don't think India is winning this World Cup. Australia is winning it again, and our team went for playing semis. Or if they don't make it, see, that's just harsh.
Yeah, it's a bit harsh.
But if they to semi, sorry, I didn't read the last line. What was it written? Or if
He's
they don't
saying
make it?
they either went to play the semi-finals or for a Dubai trip, which is very harsh. I think all the players in the team want to win this. Yeah, yeah, go on,
Gagi,
Nitish.
everyone has questions, right? I have a question for everyone, like for all Indian sports fans. Why is it that either we are criticizing, so we are bad, or India wins straight up. Like there are no in betweens. Either India is winning the World Cup for some, or India is just going for Dubai trip and it's not going to win anything for others. Why these two like completely different extent? I mean, India is not the only team that is there, right? And uh, I mean, the match results of other teams also factor in. And if you honestly see, India will qualify for the semis. It's India versus Sri Lanka. That's the game. That's the game which will decide who other than Australia will qualify.
And with
From
the T20 format, I genuinely feel it's anybody's game on that given day. This Indian team has the potential with all the talent that they have from the batters to the spinners. If they hold on to the catches, if they all come together, this team can well and truly go on and win this, title as well. The only reason why we feel it's difficult is because, that sense of not taking catches, the players not being in form. But if they come together on any given day, I generally feel that India has the potential to go on and win. It's not like they don't.
Yep. Bharat, you didn't answer. Uh, what do you think your top teams are? Even if you don't have to pick who wins the World Cup, but if you're going to look at the top three strongest teams right now, who do you think?
Yeah, I guess obviously Australia and England are the two teams I'd pick. Maybe I'm looking at Sri Lanka as a kind of dark horse. If they get it right, maybe if everything goes well, Sri Lanka might do it. It feels like Sri Lankan women's team are at a stage where Sri Lankan men's team was in the Benson and Hedges try series just before the '96 Men's World Cup when they were going up against Australia. And in one of the games, Romesh Kalwitharana went up against Glenn McGrath and hit him all over the park. That kind of situation. The Sri Lankan women's team are also in. They have just won the Asia Cup, and perhaps this is the World Cup where Sri Lanka are going to do it. But again, they're definitely not the number one favorites. I would say Australia. Then I would look at England. But I still believe when England goes up against Australia, there's a little bit of psychological advantage for Australia. Somehow it feels that way. And then maybe it is Sri Lanka. Yeah, but also I agree that Scotland is a side that we can look forward to. This Catherine Bryce, she does almost everything with the bat. She's there in the top order with the ball. She gets that in swing. People talk about Renuka Singh and her in swing. Also look out for Catherine Bryce and her in swing. She also gets a prodigious amount of in swing. So it's not a team that will go on to win the World Cup, obviously, but you might see an upset or two. If you want to call it as an upset, Scotland, say for example, beating Bangladesh, but they might yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you want to call it as an upset, uh, so Scotland might win a match somewhere, or even it could be two matches.
But Gagi,
Bharat,
again,
sorry.
it's fine. Again,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
cut me. No, no, go on.
No, I was saying I think Scotland has a chance at two matches, Bangladesh and West Indies, because West Indies the tricky part will be uh, because he spoke rightly about Bryce's in swing. If they can get Haley Matthews, then again West Indies becomes a story then. So yeah.
Just adding a point, Haley Matthews got bowled by Renuka Singh, I guess, in one of the warm-up games. So maybe who
Exactly why I spoke about that Bryce point. The in swing is a factor where Haley Matthews struggles. So yeah.
Gagi, the point that I was making was with the Sri Lankan team. Either they'll use it as motivation because everyone's speaking about it. We've already discussed this, but I think it's fair to mention it again. But at the same time, I generally feel the pressure of expectations can get on the side because everyone's suddenly speaking so highly of them. So when the tournament officially starts, it can definitely go either way. Either this team will crumble under pressure or they'll take on that responsibility and go on and actually become that top three or four side. And who knows, even maybe reach the final and go on and win it. But it really depends on how they handle that pressure on that given day, I feel.
Okay, very very mixed reviews from the entire all of you guys, because I was expecting at least one of you to say no, India will win this one, but
just adding a point on that. See,
yeah,
even in
yeah,
the
please
men's
add.
World Cup, everyone is writing off the Indian men's team, and they went on to win
Yeah.
the World Cup. So maybe when everyone is writing
I
off
was
almost
getting to that.
of women's
Yeah,
team, they might also go on to win the World Cup, and we hope so it will happen.
Exactly. And at that time also we were talking about, past performances. The batting lineup hasn't been doing well. The top order is not performing. And I see patterns here. I see patterns here. And hopefully the next time Snehashish comes back, he's not bringing the trophy well, but he's bringing memories of Indian team lifting the trophy. I hope we see that. And I hope we
Yes,
get to hear that from Snehashish. But
yes. Not
thank you so
only
much.
not
Yeah.
only me and Bharat both. Bharat is
Yes, yes.
already in Dubai already, so we will both
I
try
think
to bring
Sneha,
those memories.
Bharat are quite
Though,
unlucky, so hopefully they might, you know, get it back.
now I've gone to Vanuatu and I will come back to Dubai in 15 minutes.
Wait, what? Where have you gone?
Some country I took up. Vanuatu I've gone to and around the world making a trip and I will come back to Dubai in 15 minutes.
Just be on time for the New Zealand match. Be on time. I'm a big fan of Ishan sir and Bharat sir. I watch daily analysis of their. Ishan sir,
Lovely.
Bharat
No,
sir.
I'm not sure if you're pulling my leg or if you actually mean it.
This is the
See,
problem. This is our problem. You know, the
See,
he's
problem
also
is that
saying,
we don't have confidence. I like all your shows on cricket. Why don't you like our shows on football and other
other
shows? No
other
appreciation.
sports as well.
Yeah, please come and watch all our shows, Abhishek.
Yeah,
I
we can cover even elephant polo one day. Everything we'll cover.
Elephant polo?
Yeah, it's there.
Elephant.
It's there. But still, it's there. We'll cover everything one fine day.
How long are those sticks? I'm just wondering. I mean, even with the horse, what is Nitish Gaming saying?
This is
Gargi,
interesting. Yeah.
Concept
he's
reliable players like
yelling.
Pant, Rohit,
Why
Virat,
are they shouting
Bumrah.
birds?
But when it comes to women's team, I can't bet on anyone except Smriti. Nitish, because you
Yeah,
don't
that's
watch enough women's cricket matches, I'm so sorry. Because I think Jemima Rodriguez has been more
Yes.
consistent than Smriti Mandana. So if you're not taking her name, I am doubting you. Because taking Smriti's name is very easy because whether she performs or not, her name is right out there, and she's one of the top batters, the vice captain for a long, long time now. So it's pretty easy to take Smriti's name. But if you actually say bet on anyone, there are a number of players. What are you talking about in bowling? Deepti Sharma. Deepti Sharma has improved her batting leaps and bounds. I think you have, if you have not followed, let me tell you the fact that what was Deepti's team which won the 100? London
London,
Spirits, is it?
London Spirits.
Yeah.
London, yeah.
So,
The green one.
Deepti was one of the main factors behind London Spirits, victory in the 100. And Jemima is good. Richa can take the game away. And while Harmanpreet is not in form, it's not like she's not a match winner. She wouldn't have played for a decade if she was not a match winner. Yes, not consistent, but a match winner never, nonetheless. And we often forget that World Cup is just one tournament, one good match. Four good matches, four performers. Fifth match is your semi-final. Again, one good innings, somebody taking 2-3 wickets, and you have sealed the game. So it's not like we have to be completely pessimistic. And as far as Indian men's players are concerned, I think before the World Cup, we had spoken about how Bumrah is probably the only reliable factor um, in the bowling lineup, but others also shine. So I think criticizing is fine, but going to the extent of saying that, oh, you know what, there are no players, nothing will happen, we should throw everyone out, India ka kuch nahi ho sakta. I think subah don't start your day with so much negativity in your mind.
Okay. Another question from Nitish Gaming. I have one question. Why men are not allowed and women are allowed to play foreign leagues?
Oh,
That is a very long and
I think
complicated
that is
answer.
a separate show, but in that
Yes,
show we have to
exactly.
include Jay Shah. But I
Yeah.
don't know if Jay sir will be able to give us time.
We'll have to get Jaisha,
That's
we'll
the
have to get Roger Binney, we'll have to get all the BCCI
exactly,
officials
exactly.
to
So I think
explain
Nitish
to
is
us
a
what's
very,
going
very
on.
yeah. But it could also be, honestly, Nitish, if you ask me, I genuinely feel it's because of the calendar. The men's calendar is way tougher than a women's calendar, and that is where they are not able to fit in the BBLs and the what is the England? Oh, the
But
100.
Trisha,
Hmm.
It's not about the calendar actually, because they're forbidden. If you go and play, there are serious consequences to
Yes,
doing that.
but that's what I'm saying. That is because the consequences are serious. Because suppose I'm playing the 100, which means I'm either missing an international tour, or the other
Yeah.
point is there are high chances with so many international tours lined up that I'm actually, that workload management problem is, creeping up. Because if you ask me if you think, when was the last time that the Indian team finished one series and then they already didn't have a series lined up in 2 3 days? And nobody better than us know that, because we are trying to cope up with our day offs also, right? In between we are trying to squeeze in our day offs. We don't get to do that because Indian men's team has so many series. But the women's team was going for the World Cup. How many series have we played? How many T20Is have we played? I mean, it's all good to say that others have also not played enough T20Is. But think of it. This year when the men's team went for the World Cup. Before that, there were proper series for the T20 I World Cup prep. Women's
you
team didn't get that.
I think it's because it has a lot to do with commercials and the IPL. Because if Indian players go there, there's no one but Indian cricketers who can bring as much crowd as Indian cricketers. I didn't phrase that well, but what I wanted to
Yeah,
say was that Indian cricketers are the only cricketers that bring in a lot of crowd, and you can't compare the crowd to any other fandom. Uh,
Yeah.
Not England, not Australia. They don't really care about cricket as much as India does. So I think that would also hamper IPL in a way, I believe, because if all your crowd is going to BBL or the other leagues as well, who will come to India and watch IPL? I think uh, that might be a little bit of the reason why Indian players are
sure,
not. It could
quite
be.
possible, quite
Yeah.
possible.
So we've gone on for almost 40 minutes now. I think we should close this show. Thank you, Ishant, Snehashish, Bharat, and Trisha for joining. And to everyone who's watching and sent in a lot of your questions and comments, thank you so much. Keep talking to us throughout the World Cup. We'll be back with more shows, and of course, we'll be back throughout the matches as well. So don't forget